The Boston Celtics have tied up their best-of-7 series after their 116-108 win over the Milwaukee Bucks. I am Josue Pavon alongside Bobby Manning. And Bobby, the story of this one has to be Al Horford. I mean, he set the tone on both ends of the floor, triggered this comeback, 30 points for Al. Jayson Tatum also finished with 30, but Al, man, whether you want to talk about his outside touch, his defense, or that dunk over Giannis, all of that, man, the Celtics don't win this game without that. Without Al Horford's play, this team could be down 3-1, but because he came up big, because Jayson Tatum came up big, able to open up a 10-point lead down the stretch in that fourth quarter, this series is tied 2-2.
I have so much to say about Horford. Legendary performance from him in this one. I can't overstate it enough, and I know I always get called out for the hyperbole, but he saved this series.
This time it's accurate.
Yeah. 10-point game heading into the fourth. Celtics are down 10 with 2 minutes left in the third there. He had been holding his ground for a while on Giannis, scoring steadily. But once again, just like Game 3, into the fourth, he ramps up the intensity, the pace, and looks for his shot more aggressively. Ime said after that they saw the way the Bucks were guarding him, playing off of him in the pick-and-pop situations, and knew that they could get him some looks. He starts with the mid-range, looks for his shot from 3, and then as you said there, the dunk on Giannis. And he had something interesting to say after the game, because of course, he dunked on Giannis, had a little follow-through that earned him a technical. A scary moment there. Thought that might have led to a flagrant, but they do usually call that a technical after the fact, and I think they called it right there with the follow-through. So the dunk ties the game. The free throw ties the game after that at 81, and then that essentially set the table for Jayson Tatum to do what he did the rest of the way and send it to a 10-point game in the Celtics' favor. So he got aggressive. You saw him after last game. He was angry at the podium. You could just see the look in his face there. And he said after the game, too, as we'll play here in just a minute, that a switch flipped. And that third quarter moment where Giannis dunked on him and just his whole demeanor, Giannis's that is, throughout the series, seemed to piss Al off a little bit.
Absolutely. And here's what Al Horford had to say after beating the Bucks in Game 4.
Yeah, I don't really know what he said to me, but the way he was looking at me and the way that he was going about it really didn't sit well with me. And at that point, I think just something switched with me in the game.
So Al may have been holding back a little bit, but I think his overall demeanor, the way he delivered that message, that, listen, I didn't even hear what Giannis had to say, but just his attitude and his overall demeanor just didn't sit well with me. How, you talked about it a little bit before we hopped on camera, though, but, we never hear Al talk like that, right, after a game.
That's different for Al, and I think he sensed what happened there in Game 3. You saw Giannis kind of drag Grant to the floor after that play where Grant fouled Giannis in transition. You saw Wes Matthews dive for Derek White's legs along the sideline there. Numerous physical moments where the Bucks just sneak in a little shot, it feels like, and that's kind of their MO as a team, Milwaukee's is. They're going to be a little bit more physical. Giannis embracing contact, sending guys to the floor over and over again. Some guy went through the video of Game 3. 50 players hit the floor in that game, and it's both ways. The Celtics are playing physical too here, but it feels like with Giannis in particular, there's just a little bit overboard that he's going in terms of that physicality that pissed off Horford, and I think probably pissed off a lot of guys on the Boston side too. And man, you just, not only do you not hear Horford say stuff like that ever, you don't see Horford play like that ever. Running into the half court, taking his shots, looking for them, and that's what the Celtics needed to do. In the first half of this game, they were overpassing, they were turning the ball over, they were taking tough shots, whether it was contested three-pointers or going into traffic in the interior. Al did what they needed to do this whole series, and looks like they finally learned to do. Take the available shots, the wide-open ones. Mid-rangers, maybe they're pick-and-pop threes. Sometimes they'll leave you underneath for a hook shot. That's what he started to figure out, and man, has he had some big scoring nights because of it.
I got a chance to ask Al about just that scream that he let out after dunking on Giannis. Obviously, in that moment, that's going to happen, naturally because you dunked on Giannis, you silenced the crowd. It was a big moment in that game for the Celtics. But I also asked him if did all that energy have to do with also just the way this thing's been officiated, the way the physicality's been? Was he able to just let everything out in that moment and all that just come together at once? And he said, yeah, pretty much. And in the middle of his response, Al Horford even turned to Abby and was like, Abby, is that the most emotional I've ever been? Because he couldn't even remember, And Abby was like, yeah, I think that's accurate, Al. I think that's the most emotional we've ever seen you after a play. And I agree with that as well.
Yeah, and again, it's a culmination of everything that they've gone through here. Tough officiating, a lot of extra blows by the Bucks, whether it's Giannis pulling down Grant on that transition play in Game 3, Wes Matthews diving at Derek White's legs along the sideline. They played a very frustrating game 3 here, and then more physicality, more foul trouble in this game. And as Horford said, it was something about the way Giannis was handling the matchup here, and he certainly has guarded him more than anyone. Flipped the switch for him there. And you saw the response of the Celtics along the sideline.
Yeah.
You saw the response of Tatum even. And everybody just started finding those open spots on the floor, getting the easy looks for themselves. Everything Horford did, whether it was the calm aspect of finding the easy shots or that intense aspect of dunking on Giannis, flowed from that point on. And listen, they go down 10. From that point on, it's 46-26 Celtics. They blew them away from that point on. So Horford set a tone for sure.
Yeah, no question. And when I asked Horford about what was said after that moment in the timeout, he was like, nothing needed to be said after that. Everyone just knew we're all on the same page, and it certainly went a long way for this Celtics group. And this segment is brought to you by our good folks over at calm.com. Head over to calm.com/garden, where you can save 40% on a premium subscription just for watching the Garden Report. That's calm.com/garden. I am Josue Pavon. He is Bobby Manning. We'll continue this conversation. We're talking about Jayson Tatum's big night here at Milwaukee in Game 4. Another 30-point performance from Jayson Tatum. We'll break it all down as we finish up, wrapping up this one. Game 4, the Boston Celtics topped the Milwaukee Bucks 116-108. Their best-of-7 series is now tied at 2 games apiece.
Going back to Milwaukee.
Heading back to Boston first, and then the series will come back to Milwaukee. We'll break it all down in our next video. Stay tuned.